everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Nostalgia Bit. Today we're talking television, ranking our top 5 and the rest of all time. I'm joined today, as always, by my wonderful co-host Cooper Britton. Welcome, Cooper. How are
It's
you?
a pleasure, as always.
Oh.
Always a pleasure, never a chore.
Yep.
Yeah, top 5 plus a few
Top
extras.
5 and the rare, and yeah, our honourable mentions.
And the rest, yeah.
We've done rankings of films. We've done rankings of
games.
We have.
Video
That's correct.
games,
That's
yeah.
correct. Yeah.
That was the first one. Video games was first, and then we did movies.
We haven't done any more of that, have we? We just done.
No.
This is
We've
our
got a
third.
few others in the works, but this is
Oh, little teaser. Little teaser.
that's a
We
teaser.
established that, as people from my work said, men love lists. There's something about lists, and it's, everyone else can love lists as well.
Yeah.
We're not excluding. Anyone's allowed to enjoy these lists, but people seem to like lists, so we're gonna keep making lists.
It's a thing that I do, like, in my head for a lot of different things. I'll have, like, at least, like, a top 3. Like, top 3 favourite food, favourite sweets, favourite chocolate, like, favourite movies like I've done.
Bro is the real life Watch Mojo.
Bro, I am the real life Watch Mojo. I am Mr. Mojo.
You laugh at that. I could have gone for Jeffrey Epstein.
Top 5 movies, top 5 TV shows of all time. Plus a few honourable mentions.
So we'll start with the honourable mentions as we always do.
Yeah.
May as well get into it. So we've got our top 5. I've got 6 honourable mentions today.
I have 5 honourable mentions.
I can't even say the word honourable apparently, but I have.
Honourable.
So we'll do our little ping pong tournament as we've done before, which is hilariously crazy. I'm sure you all very much enjoyed from the movie episode where we ping and pong. back our honourable mentions. Why did we do this? Why did we even come up with that?
I don't know how the ping pong thing came about. I mean, it works.
Yeah, it works.
It's just a cool name for it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just going back and forth with a kind of funky name.
So I've got one more than you, so I reckon I'll start, and then we'll go from there. So my first ping is Ted Lasso. I love Ted Lasso. I think it's a really great show. It's a relatively new one. It sort of got me into football more, and it's very wholesome, heartwarming. It's a very much a comfort show for me. And I think with Ted Lasso, it's got some of the best exploration and representation of a panic attack on screen and men's mental health kind of stuff. I just think it's really well done in that respect. And I think a lot of those elements are really well handled. And just the characters are all so well rounded. The story is so satisfying, and it's really cute. It's really wholesome, and just it's a comfort show. I love it.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about it. I kept seeing loads of. There was not that long ago, maybe half a year ago, loads of stuff on my TikTok. When you get the movie and TV.
But that's why I watched it, because I saw a clip on my TikTok and I was like, all right, that's pretty good. I feel like I need to watch this now. I think you should watch it. I'd recommend it. It's completely done now. There's 3 seasons of it, so you can. It's quite accessible, I'd say. I
will say I recommend any of my shows on my honorable mentions or top 5.
Anything I talk about today, I'm recommending. Yeah.
I will pong back at you. I feel like I know your opinion of this show, but I'm not set in stone. My first honorable mention is going to be Friends. Okay. Yeah, there you go. That was good reference. So, this show, you either love this show or hate this show, I feel like. So many people that I know are like, show's overrated, show's terrible. And I hadn't watched it in a while, and when you keep hearing people be negative about it, it's like, yeah, maybe it is overrated. Maybe it's not as good as I remember. But then a few months ago, I went through such a rabbit hole of just rewatching a load of the episodes.
Sure.
And still to this day, honestly, it's one of 2 shows, and the other show is on this list, that can, no matter what my mood is, certain episodes will make me laugh, will make me cry. Every episode will make me laugh without fail, and I just love a show that does that. Have whatever opinion you want of it, whether you love it. There's just something about it that's so wholesome and so nice, and the cast are amazing. It's such a wholesome show, and I watched it when I was younger for the first time. Watched it. It's one of the only shows that I watched on DVD. I watched all of it on box set, and it's just one of the greatest. Yeah, I just love
I've
this
never
show.
seen
it's
it.
Nice.
I've never seen it. I've never actually gone and ventured. So I can't say whether I love it or hate it because I don't know. I've never had a desire to watch it personally, but I get what it does for people. It's a classic. Everyone knows what it is.
Yeah, it's a proper comfort show. It's if I want to laugh, even on the TV, it's one of those shows that if it's on the TV, I would just have it on in the background.
Sure, yeah. Oh, no, I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah,
That's good.
that was my Pong.
I'll pong back another household American comedy. That is about a group of friends and is really heartwarming and lovely, just like yours. I'm gonna ping back to you. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I need to watch this.
Always Sunny is. I didn't watch it until like last year before, and it's so good. Like, I just can't explain as to how good it is. Like, I'd love to be able to write something like this where it's so on the edge of being like cancelable that it's genius. Like, it knows what it's doing, and like the show has been going for 16 seasons, and I still don't think it's lost its way yet. I think it's still got fire and it's still going.
16 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going for years, like, and about the same amount of years as well. The cast are brilliant. They started with this show and have just grown into so many other things. You know, now Rob McElhenney owns a football club. Glenn Howerton's in films. Charlie Day's also in films. Fucking Luigi. So it's like there's a good, like... Yeah, and a lot of the early stuff is very, like... Some of it's aged horrendously. But you can see it from the perspective of, like, the writers are quite liberal and quite outspoken about that. And then when it comes to the show itself, you can know that they're sort of taking the piss out of it. They mastered the art of writing characters that they play that are objectively bad people. All of the main characters in this show are horrible, horrible people. They are the worst, like, scum of the world. They are horrible people. And they're designed in that way. And this interchangeable dynamic of, like, in comedy you have, like, the straight man who, you know, who's very serious about everything. Every episode there'll be a different, like, person who's completely serious and the other people will being stupid, right? And that's what's genius about the show is they're able to sort of spin that, and there's a lot of different styles of episodes about different things. Some of them don't land, but most of them are really funny. And then when you get just incredible performances, like Glenn Howerton is such an incredible actor, generally, and he's so underrated. He's never, like, picked up for many big projects like films and stuff. He was in Blackberry, which is a kind of a smaller film from last year. That was so good, and he made that film. He has this sort of almost like Shakespearean energy when it comes to, like, bringing out his rage that it just, you can't take your eyes off him. Have you ever just watched, like, Dennis clips from Always Sunny where he's just screaming into the void and he just goes, like, completely psychopathic? It's just unbelievably funny. Yeah. Always Sunny's great, and it's still going, and it's still going strong, I'd say.
It's one of those shows. I love American sitcoms, and I know for a fact I'd absolutely love that show. I just never...
It's not your traditional sitcom. I'd say it's really hard to get into. I tried to watch it before, and I really struggled. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch it for, like, 2 seasons, and if by the end of that I haven't got it, I'm not going to watch it. And it took me so long, and I was like, I still not quite. And then something just clicked, and I'm like, this is the funniest show I've ever seen. Like, it's very good. But, you know, it has some highs, it has some lows. When you're going for 16 seasons, there's definitely some stuff that doesn't work, but for the most part, I think it's a really brilliant show, and I would absolutely recommend to watch. In terms of, like, comedy, I think it really gets the nail on the head for a very different genre of comedy. Like, it's not like the sort of surface level, sort of more, not family friendly, but, like, more kind of PG sense of humor, like The Office or something like that. Yeah. This is a lot more, like, deeply, like, offensive, but also culturally appropriate at the time. There's, like, a lot of very, like, self-referential kinds of stuff. It's interesting.
Yeah, very nice. Mine is on the complete other field. Mine, I like anime. I've watched a lot of anime. I read a lot of manga. My next honorable mention will be Dragon Ball Z. Honestly, I just like to see big bulky men punching each other. I'll be 100% honest. I love the transformations. It is so... They are just so... What's the word I'm looking for? Like...
Erotic?
No, it's like... Super Saiyan is just such an iconic...
No, okay, yeah, I get
such an iconic...
Culturally,
like,
I get that.
Culturally, yeah, it's such a cultural phenomenon. And Dragon Ball Z was the second anime I think I ever watched. And I remember... I'd watch it, it's so long that I'd watch it in bulks. I'd be, like, obsessed with it, and then I'd fall off and stop watching it for a bit. And I remember going on holiday, and all I did for a week straight was lie in the sun and watch Dragon Ball Z. And I remember I watched, like, something like 100 episodes in, like, 7 days, something like that. 25 minutes ish an episode, but it's just like it's one of those shows that it doesn't really have a story, but the characters are you get so invested in the characters because of like their family heritage and their emotion to their family, and the transformation, the animations are amazing, the music's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. The speeches I watched, it's one of Dragon Ball Z is one of the only ones I watch in English. The voice acting is fucking out of this world. Like, how the hell Sean Shamel, who plays Goku, has not got some sort of throat damage over how many years he's been doing it. It's an absolute miracle. The amount of screaming that he has to do in the booths and the behind the scenes. Like, you watch some of the behind the scenes, he's full on screaming in the voice in the boot in like the recording booth.
I respect that though. There's a sort of level, there's a level of dedication to the craft, isn't it? Yeah. And I think like I've never seen it. It's definitely not the kind of thing I'd watch. Like, you know this, Cooper, and I think I'm not a big like anime guy. I've never really been that into it. Like, that's just something I've never like crossed paths with in terms of like what I've watched. Whereas I know you have. So I think for a lot of this podcast, and you'll come to notice this the more we do talk about these sort of things, is you're the anime rep guy, because I just can't contribute because I don't know anything.
I don't watch as much nowadays. Like, not that, to be 100% honest, we're doing the TV show. I don't watch a lot of TV.
Mm-hmm. No, me neither now.
Like I'm like there's certain shows I'm watching at the moment, but I watch them like with my girlfriend, so we only watch them together. But like when I'm on my own, I guess you could argue that I watch some TV, but they're not TV, if that makes sense. Like streaming services like Dungeons and Dragons shows, like comedy, like Game Changer, stuff like that. But Dragon Ball, it's one of those things where anime for me, I started watching anime like around like 15, 16-year-old, and it had such an impact. We'll get more into this when I get into my actual top 5, but it had such an impact on me. And even to this day, like in my background, like you can see these books here are all manga. Like all of that bookshelf is just manga. So it just had such a massive impact on me. And Dragon Ball Z specifically is like, it had such a massive impact on my life when I watched it. I'm obsessed with it. I still watch it. I still read it. Akira Toriyama passed away earlier this year. Honestly, I was like the original writer for it, and I was absolutely
I remember
gutted.
that. Yeah, like, I remember seeing about that.
It's so sad. It just, because Dragon Ball, like, it's just such a, it has such a cultural impact. It's the show that for a lot of Americans, it's like the inspiration, like it's what, it's they call it like a gateway drug for anime. Like, chances are Dragon Ball Z will have been on your TV when you were younger. Like, it was on like, I'm sure it was on like CITV or whatever it was.
But it's definitely been around, hasn't it? Yeah, I've definitely seen it somewhere. Like,
Dragon Ball's typically the one that kids will start on. Like, they'll discover it because it was one of the only ones that was, it's one of the only, this hot take, good like English dubs. A lot of the English dubs aren't the best, whereas this one, like, it's arguably on par. Like, you could watch either and you do not miss out on anything. Like, it's that kind of thing. So there you go. That's Dragon Ball Z.
Love that.
Goated. Absolutely goated.
I'll ping back Peep Show.
Yeah.
Another comedy. There's a lot of comedies on this list. I do take in a lot of comedy, more than I take in drama. I love it. I love a drama. I love a good TV show, but I'm very much more of a comedy person. I love the different dynamics and the way that these sort of things are constructed, I think is so fascinating to me. Peep Show is a brilliant example of that. One that I didn't watch for ages, didn't really get, and then I just got onto it. I binged it during lockdown. Oh, it's so good. Have you seen it?
It's really good.
Yeah.
Not all of it, but I've seen some of it. I don't know how much. I've probably seen the odd episode here and there.
I love.
I know what it is. I
I love the way that it's shot is completely unique as well. Because it's all POV. If you're not familiar with Peep Show,
a lot of it's POV. Yeah,
it's all POV. It's all like that. That's the thing. If they actually think about that, I remember seeing a behind the scenes thing. It's like if they had two characters walking together and they needed a shot of the two characters from like an establishing angle, they needed to add extras in the background to have someone's perspective to see. The whole thing is from some person's perspective. The whole thing, and it swaps all the time. But you're inside their head when you're, looking at their, outside of their eyes. And I think it's such a brilliant way that I just didn't think that would work ever. And I was like, I don't know how they could make that work. And it did. I've watched it, and it's incredible. It works completely perfectly. Like the way they managed to do that. It's just genius, because you get and I think it works as well from an emotional perspective. It's not a very like emotional show, but it is kind of depressing because it's just about two guys getting older, living together in a flat in London, and just kind of going about life and them not succeeding. And you're, because of the POV, you're inside their head a lot of the time, and like it's very personal, and I think you're following along with their lives, and I think that's, you feel so much like a part of it, and you get out the other side of it, and I'm like, God, I want to know what happened to them next. But they're just fictional characters. It's just a comedy show, but like, the stories of the characters are so personal, and it's so awkward when it doesn't. Oh, the wedding episode is like the most painfully awkward.
I love it though. I love it for that reason. Like, it's so awkward at some moments. Not that I've seen a lot of it, but some episodes I've seen.
It's worth watching. It's disastrous.
Where a girl's got cancer or something like that.
I'm trying to remember, but probably at some point, yeah.
I seem to remember an episode where they go to like a party where there's a girl with cancer and she's wearing a hat or something, and I remember it being so unbelievably awkward.
I don't know if that's Peep Show, because I'm trying to remember and I can't picture that, but maybe that's just it hasn't stuck out to me as like
honestly, like there's Channel 4 comedy shows like that. Those
is
one of the channel.
It was
like,
Channel 4.
Crowd,
yeah.
In Between Us, Peep Show, so good.
For me, it's like the one where, oh god, it's so annoying. Where it's like the season finale, and it's like they're going to a wedding of a couple, and Jez is secretly sleeping with one of them, and Mark's ex-wife is pregnant with his child and goes into labour at the same time that they find out that Jez has been sleeping together on the morning before the wedding. And it's just like, and then Mark also needs to drive his ex-wife to the hospital, and he pretended that he passed his driving test and didn't know how to drive, and he's just like, all of this coming at once, and it's like, it's so awkward and it's so uncomfortable, and it's like, I actually hate this so much.
Yeah.
But I love it for that, because it puts you in their lives, and it's very funny as well, very quotable
really
show.
Funny. Yeah.
That's my third ping.
We've
done 20 minutes. We need to rattle through
these. Yeah, we need to rattle through.
Honorable
my next thing will be quick, because I've not actually finished it. It's what I'm watching at the moment, but I have to talk about it. Game of Thrones is fucking incredible. It is absolutely incredible.
Where are you up to?
I finished season 2 last night and started season 3.
Oh, I've raced way ahead of you. I was only a couple episodes ahead. I'm the beginning of season 4.
Oh, mate.
You're in for a good
I know
season.
I'm in for an absolute roller coaster, and I cannot wait.
Yeah.
The cast, the writing, the music, the choreography, like it's very
good. It's very good. I'm at season 4. I haven't quite been hit with like, this is one of my favorite shows of all time yet, but I'm really enjoying it. And season 4 especially, I'm like, now I'm really getting it. There's like a step up in quality from season 3 to season 4 for me, where I was like, oh, they've invested more in this now. And I'm game. I am very interested to see what you're going to think of season 3. I can't wait to talk about that off camera when you've watched it and not spoil anything.
Because I really want to watch House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
So this is kind of why I started, because I love Matt Smith. We all know I love Matt Smith, and I just want to get through. But also I want to know, like, I've somehow avoided so many spoilers for Game of Thrones over the years that it's finally time that I do watch it when I haven't seen that. Like, I know a few things, but. I just want to put an honorable mentions because I'm really enjoying it at the moment.
No, that's a good shout. A good shout for honorable mentions. Yeah. I should have had it in mind. It's a good show. Yeah. I'm Alan Partridge would be my ping. Another comedy. Haha, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
Alan Partridge has been a character in comedy for a long, long time, and he's done multiple different. And it's obviously a comedy character, but they've been parts of different shows and stuff. And they did, started off as like a sports commentator on the Day to Day, and then they did like a chat show, Knowing Me, Knowing You, with Alan Partridge. It's a bit like, and that was funny. It's great.
Knowing Me, Knowing You is really good.
And you've got stuff nowadays where it's sort of like a piss take up at the one show, and there's like a sort of mockumentary kind of style stuff. I'm Alan Partridge was, for me, the best Alan Partridge series. It's like you're sort of seeing the insides of his life, but it's the only thing I think in the sort of Alan Partridge universe, if you will, that the camera is non-diegetic. Everything else, like, he knows he's on camera, he knows he's being filmed, he knows he's on TV, or whatever. With I'm Alan Partridge, you're just seeing into this guy's life, and it is so good. It's so well written. And is it any surprise that Armando Iannucci is behind the scenes on the writing credits for this? Like, an incredible comedy writer of like our generation, not our generation, it's a bit older than our generation, but like of like what we grew up on. Yeah, no surprise there at all. Steve Coogan's great in this role. I mean, he's basically become Alan Partridge now anyway. But yeah, I'm Alan Partridge is great. You got like one. It sort of leaves you wanting more. You got one season where he's in like a travel tavern, like a sort of Premier Inn, and then you got the second season where he's living in a caravan, and you just see this man's sort of like middle-aged kind of life as he's desperately trying to cling on to the fame that he's got left, and it is so funny. Like I mean, I know a lot of people either just they get it or they don't get it. Some people I've noticed since moving down south, a lot of people who I've introduced Alan Partridge to don't like it. They don't find it funny. They don't get it. And I'm like, this is so funny. Like, I just, like, the jokes, the style of humor is everything. I'm like, it's so, like, he's such a knob that it just makes it funny.
Like, Knowing Me, Knowing You's really good. I'm Alan Partridge is the one that I associate with the most.
Of course,
because it's the one. There are quotes from that TV show that I still quote to this day.
You know what? I didn't even know until now that you'd seen it.
I've seen I'm Alan Partridge. Do you know,
it's been so long since we talked about it.
I went on a skiing trip when I was younger with school, and me and another lad, I'm like not even shitting you, just quote Alan Partridge the whole week, the whole week. Even Scouts, even in Explorers, we used to quote Alan Partridge.
I can't remember that, man. Yeah.
There's so many quotes like from I'm Alan Partridge, so many scenes that are just. Like, for me, you just go back and watch them. They're just
it's
legendary.
The James Bond marathon for me. That was always the funny for me, where he does the whole intro for The Spy Who Loved Me. When when Lynn wants to visit her mother's grave on the anniversary of her death, and he's trying to do his James Bond marathon, and he's like, "I have to put it in the schedule, Lynn. We'll go the Doctor No, all that and all that." So I think he's going the evil, the underground base of an evil genius, and then Doctor No.
It's so like honestly,
it's
so
it is
good.
Really funny.
It's just amazing comedy. It's so well written, and just like the comedic timing as well, like the looks of the cat, like it's just all so perfect. I love it.
It's good.
Love it. Love it.
Go on, give me your pong.
My next pong is another. It's not an anime technically. It's another animated TV show. It's Avatar: The Last Airbender / The Legend of Korra. It's basically the Avatar universe.
Okay.
It's an old Nickelodeon show.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I watched it when I was a kid. And it's about like these nations,
blue people, right? Yeah.
Yeah. About blue people, and no. So it's about like essentially it's a coming of age story, and it's about a world that's at war, and only one person can. It's about a kid who gets sealed away for 100 years and basically loses his entire childhood, comes back to this world that he remembers being so loving and everyone liked each other, completely torn and in the depths of war, and he basically has to grow up so quickly, learn how to wield the 4 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and basically save the world essentially. But it's deeper than that, because as much as it's a story of it's a kid on an adventure and he's saving the world, but it's like it's so well written. And do you know who wrote for it?
Go on.
Dave Filoni. It's the show that Dave Filoni worked on. This was Dave Filoni before he did Clone Wars.
I don't know if I knew that. That's really cool.
Yeah, Dave Filoni did Avatar: The Last Airbender before he did Clone Wars, and it's like
checks out.
It's 3 seasons, I think, the original, and it's the original is incredible alone, and it's like the way that they wrote these characters and like the beats that they have. Netflix have just done a live action adaptation of it. The fight scenes and the music's incredible for it as well. I just absolutely love it. And then they did a sequel series called The Legend of Korra, which was set I don't know how many years after, like 30 years after the original. And most people say The Last Airbender is better. In my opinion, I prefer Legend of Korra. It's Legend of Korra literally in moments had me in tears. Like the stupidest stuff as well. Like the littlest of things, like stuff that shouldn't have me in tears, like properly had me breaking down crying. And it's a comfort show. It's like it has all those things. It has the fun of kids just being kids playing around, riding penguins down hills and stuff like that.
Love that.
Then it also has the grit of this is actually like a kid who's having to save the world and is having to grow up, having lost all his friends, having lost his master, like having to rejoin this world, and it's goated. And yeah, the fight scenes are amazing. Like the whole power system as well, like wielding the elements and stuff.
That's
so
clever.
Good. The Netflix adaptation was also really good. I fucking loved it.
Oh, good. It's because sometimes
yeah.
they're not as good, these live action adaptations, are they?
Yeah, some of the live action adaptations have been hit or miss for like the animated shows, but recently they've been doing pretty well. So yeah, that is my pong.
It's good. I'm trying to race this as quick as I can now because we're realizing how we're taking a while with this. But my next ping will be League of Gentlemen.
League of Gentlemen, so yeah.
So I've been rewatching it recently, which is why this is on this list. I love it. I think a lot of people talk about like cultural British shows, and this never gets mentioned as much as it deserves to, because it's absolutely brilliant. Little Britain gets mentioned more than this, and I think that's shocking considering Little Britain came out after this and is basically the same thing but a lot worse. Like, Little Britain's fine, but just has aged horrendously. League of Gentlemen is still funny and still works, and there's a couple of things that aren't, exactly PG, but like, it's so clever because typical like Rhys Shearsmith, Steve Pemberton, Mark Gatiss, Jeremy Dyson, like those four as writers have this perfect balance between comedy and the darkest shit you'll ever see in your life. Like, it's such a perfect blend of like this cynical British kind of dark humor vibe, and I think it's League of Gentlemen does it brilliantly. It's not like the perfect show of all time. It's not my top 5, but it is a one that's worth mentioning, and sort of again is brilliant. And my final ping that I'll mention after yours is in some way related to that. So yeah.
When you just mentioned Little Britain, Come Fly With Me is one of those shows. I love Come Fly With Me as well. It's only one season, but again, it's not as much now, but I do still enjoy a good Come Fly With Me.
There's a good few sketches. For me, it's like I don't know. For me, it feels like Come Fly With Me, I think, generally, like objectively, probably is better than Little Britain, because Little Britain is very much just like all stereotypes of like lower end, of people at the time, in Britain. And a lot of it was quite lazy. Like season 1 of Little Britain is, works, but then there's a lot of stuff which season 2 and season 3 is just repeating the same fucking jokes. There's no like development of that, and that's why Come Fly With Me sort of works as well, because
that's why I like Come Fly With Me, because it's just one season.
It's one season, and it's made at an airport. Yeah. But then some stuff, I'm like, you look at it and go, that it's a bit odd that in 2011 they were still doing like blackface.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's really bad, actually. And it was bad then, so how were they... Yeah.
I remember when Come Fly With Me came out. Like, I remember when it aired on TV.
And they're doing more, like, they're working together again, and I'll be interested to see what they do and how they adapt it for the sort of modern age. I just feel like... the thing is, it's like, it's very telling when a show ages badly.
Yeah.
That it's sort of the kind of humour that it was trying to present is just... it's not as deep or as layered, and that's why I think League of Gentlemen I respect a lot more. It's like, yes, okay, there's a couple of things in League of Gentlemen that don't sit right now, and I'm a bit like, ooh, that's a bit not quite right. But for the most part, like, it's all still funny. It's morbid, dark humour. Like, they've got a vet character, which the only running joke that the vet character has is he ends up just killing all the animals horrendously. And they did like some specials a couple of years ago, League of Gentlemen, where they brought it back for 3 episodes, and even watching that, I'm like, they still got it. It's a more cinematic, but it's exactly the same thing. Like, this hedgehog, which is just like inflated and needs like a needle or something. And, there's so many things you could do with that joke. Obviously, the hedgehog's going to explode, right? That's dark enough.
Yeah.
But the vet puts like a needle in, it pops, and the young girl and mother have got the spikes in their face. The mother has spikes in her eyes and is blinded. And it's so like, long. Oh my god, that's horrendous.
It's been so long since I watched it. I really need to rewatch it.
It's dark. I watched it once and then I didn't watch it again, and then I've come back to it now and rewatched it for the first time in a while, and I absolutely loved it. Anyway, what's your final pong?
My final pong. I'll rattle through this one because we spoke about it before. Mandalorian.
Oh,
as much as you can talk about Mandalorian season 3 wasn't very good, for Mandalorian season 1, season 2 alone, this show is so clear for me. Like, it was just like it was at like it came out my like peak Star Wars time. Like, I remember watching this show religiously every when it released. I remember the casting announcements, the rumors. Oh, Ahsoka might be in the second season. All that kind of stuff. I remember it all. I remember absolutely falling in love with Grogu and the Mandalorian. Like, it just had such an impact, and it's such a good show. The first 2 seasons. The first season's still good, but just not even as close to the first 2 seasons. The first season alone is so clear. It's unbelievable.
It's good.
But we've spoken about it enough.
We've talked a lot about Mandalorian, and if you want to hear our thoughts on that, we've got a few Star Wars episodes already on the podcast that you can go and listen to and watch if you fancy. But
of course.
Good shout. I haven't thought of any Star Wars shows to mention here.
I've got one more.
For fuck's sake! It's better
not
not
what you
be.
think it is.
Okay.
No. Wasn't even a consideration.
It's not even going to be a good one, though, because you haven't seen the best one still. Anyway, Inside Number 9 is my final ping. Now, I talked to you about this a little while ago because you'd never heard of it.
Last time we recorded, yeah.
You'd never heard of it. Have you managed to watch any?
No, I've not. I've not had the chance to watch any yet.
I'll say it's Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith, half of the League of Gentlemen, and they sort of basically work together on this sort of Black Mirror style format, a bit like Tales of the Unexpected kind of vibe as well, or Twilight Zone, anything basically. It's an anthology sort of series. Every episode is its own little mini, basically like a short film, or individual pilots for their own TV shows. That's kind of how it works. Reece Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton play a different character in every episode, and they've got like loads of guest stars, lots of well-known names that you'll recognise. There's 9 seasons of it, intentionally, which is brilliant. They just finished their final episode. Now, I've not seen every episode of Inside Number 9. Because of that anthology style, you can kind of just watch any episode at any time, and there's no like through line to know. The later episodes in like later series, sometimes they like hark back to like old episodes as like references. Like the very final episode is very referential, so you'd probably want to watch a lot of them before watching that one again. But for the most part, like it's a great show, and it has that it's that sort of style of like, I wish I could make something like this, because it's so deep and it's so layered and it's so interesting, but it's also really funny and dark. Like League of Gentlemen is. It's dark. It's really dark, but also really funny, and they balance that really nicely. They've got they play with format, they play with cinematography, they play with anything you could think of. Like, there's an episode that's in a call center, and it's all from like the perspective of a webcam and then 3 different CCTV security angles, and it plays the whole episode out like that, and it tells a story with that visual. There's a visual from like the new series where the whole story takes place from a Ring doorbell, and you just see whatever the doorbell sees. So you get different formats like that, like a one that's basically presented as like a normal game show. Like the live episode, which is presented like a live behind the scenes look into like the BBC archives and stuff. It's like there's loads of different things, and they play with format. It's not just like a different episode. They do so much. They do like an episode like in the Salem witch trials, and they do an episode in like the future, and they do episodes all over the place. Like, it's not like Black Mirror where everything is a comment on technology. It's taking story formats and interesting ideas. Another one to shout about, I think Wuthering Heist it's called, where it takes an old like comedy style of performance, commedia dell'arte I think it's called, where it's like basically like an Italian form of comedic theatre where they all wear like masks, and it puts that setting into like a heist movie because they wear masks. And it's
that's clever.
It just combine things, and these fresh ideas that have just never been done before. And I'm like, that's very interesting and very cool. And they also acknowledge how like wanky it is. I think in that episode they explain like what it's like. Oh, it's a bit of a mix between a heist movie and commedia dell'arte. It's like a combination of this because they wear masks. I don't really get it, but it sounds like something a drama teacher would have a wank over. And I'm like, that's a great, like, it's
so true, isn't it?
So Inside Number 9 is an absolute massive recommendation for me. If you've never watched it, definitely go and check it out. It's all on BBC iPlayer, and you can watch any episode in any order. It doesn't matter. Just try it. Find out what the best rated ones are and just watch it. I've sent you a list, Cooper, so you can do that. But
hell yeah.
Great episodes, really, really great show, and it would be in my top 5 if I'd watched all of the episodes. I just couldn't put this above anything else, knowing that I haven't actually checked out all of them yet. I've seen most of them, but there's like a few here and there that I've missed. Anyway,
what a great set of honorable mentions. 35 minutes into the episode.
I know. We're terrible at that. Anyway, our actual top 5.
The actual bit that everyone is here for. The actual point of the episode.
Do you want... I mean, I don't know. I would say let's do a one where you sort of guess one from each other's list, but I just don't think there's any point in that, because I don't think I'm going to get any of yours, and I think you'll probably get all of mine. So
there's... See, I don't think I get all of yours. There's only one off the top of my head that I can think of.
Right, okay.
But I don't know if they're too separate. I don't know if they're too separate or... Well, yeah, Westworld, I assumed, on there.
I'm not saying anything.
So... Westworld,
Make your
Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, but I don't know if they'll be paired together.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Who will be on there, and I don't know what the last one will be.
Okay.
I can't think.
Okay.
Do you have any guesses for mine? Bear in mind, you know there's a Star Wars.
I know there's a Star Wars one on there. I think you're going to say Clone Wars, and because you haven't seen Andor, and there's no way you're not. You said it wasn't the obvious one, which would be Ahsoka. You've already mentioned Mandalorian. It's not going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. and you've not finished. Like Acolyte hasn't finished yet.
It was almost Mando. Mando was on the list until this one was like, nah, it's not. Yeah, this one's
Clone Wars. Gotta be Clone Wars then. And then let me have a think. The thing is, I don't really know your TV tastes. Don't say anything. I'm gonna say Walking Dead, maybe.
I was actually going to mention Walking Dead as just, it's not on there.
Good.
As a quick side.
Oh my god, we haven't got any
Walking Dead has truly one of the greatest pilots of all time of any show.
Very
as much
good.
as it fell off, and I have not watched all of it. The first 2 episodes alone are phenomenal. So,
okay.
But Walking Dead's not on here.
I think it'll be anime stuff, and I'm not gonna know.
One of them's anime.
Attack on Titan.
No. Don't even get me started on that show.
Okay, let's just go for our top 5. What's your number 5, Cooper?
My number 5 is the One Piece live action from Netflix.
Oh,
okay. So about a year and a half ago, I started reading One Piece for the first ever time. One Piece is the biggest manga of all time. Currently, to this date, it is 1,119 chapters, I think.
Oh, that's like a Stephen King book.
I read like 950 chapters, whatever it was, in colour.
Right.
Truly, reading it was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. Like, honestly, it is one of the greatest stories I have ever had witness to experience. So, they announced that they were doing a live action for it. Netflix were doing a live action for it. The Netflix live actions typically are horrendous. In the past, they've had some horrendous anime live actions in general.
Yeah.
The Cowboy Bebop one, which was atrocious. There was a Dragon Ball one, not Netflix, a different company years ago, which was awful. M. Night Shyamalan did an Avatar: The Last Airbender live action movie. That was awful. Okay, so when it was announced that Netflix was going to be doing it, everyone was like, "This is it. It's not going to be very good." And then trailers started to come out, and behind the scenes started to come out, and everyone was like, "Is this actually going to be good?" When the first trailer came out, everyone was like, I was like, "Oh my god!" It's only based on like the first like 50 chapters, 70 chapters of the book of the manga.
Okay.
Honestly, I binge watched this. I've seen it twice. I saw it twice in like the first like 3 weeks when it came out.
I respect that.
How obsessed I was with it. It is absolutely phenomenal. Oda, Eiichiro Oda, who's the writer, was like, "I am being involved, and it is my way or the motherfucking highway." And this isn't. He was literally like, that. "We are doing it my way. If anything gets changed, I am pulling it. Like, we are not doing it." And I'm so glad he did it, because they've changed stuff from the original story, but it works so well. Like, it still makes so much sense. The casting for the main 5 crew members, it's basically about, there's a treasure called the One Piece, and this really famous pirate finds the One Piece and doesn't tell anyone what it is, and he says, basically they capture him, the naval government, the army, capture him, the Marines capture him, and his final words are, "If you want my treasure, you can have it. I have like hidden it somewhere across the sea, and creates this grand era of pirates where everyone wants to be pirates." And as the story progresses, it basically becomes like a proper. It starts to like cover like proper like actual issues in society, like slavery, racism. Like it's all being covered like really well as well. But the first season is like, it's such like an introduction story. Like, you meet all the main 5 characters. You meet like Luffy, who's the main character with the pirate and wants to be the king of the pirates, which is what this old pirate was. The casting is fucking phenomenal. The choreography, I was worried about the CGI because the power system in it. Luffy has stretchy arms.
Oh, right. Okay. How did they do that?
It looks really good. Like, it's done with CGI, obviously. But it looks really, really well done.
You can just do that.
Yeah, because you can just do that. Yeah. But yeah, it's so good. They've announced that they're filming the 2nd season in South Africa at the moment, and like the behind the scenes have been announcing a load of new cast members. And the 2nd season is my favorite part from the story, like from the original story. So I'm so excited for it. But the One Piece live action, I genuinely went into it not thinking it was going to be very good, and even the soundtrack was phenomenal. It's the same woman who did the soundtrack for The Witcher.
So what do you think of what do you think of the show, the animated show?
So I've not seen all the animated show because it's 1,000+ episodes, and every episode is 25 minutes.
Oh.
So I've read it all. I've watched a lot of it in chunks and in orders and stuff.
Sure.
The anime show's incredible. Like the animation for it is incredible, especially nowadays. Like it's almost had like a resurgence. So they've upped the budget. It's been going since like the anime's been going since 1999 and it's still ongoing because the story's still going. The story's been going. I actually have, you can't see it, but for my 21st birthday, my friends bought me an original first edition Japanese volume 1 of One Piece.
That's really cool.
It's been going for years and years, and like the colourful volumes you can see slightly in the back are my One Piece volumes. I've got some. I want to collect them all. There's like 105 volumes at the moment, but it's just one of those stories. But to go about the live action, I think the live action is a mix of I love the story anyway, and the fact that it was so good and I didn't expect it just amplifies it even more.
Yeah.
And they took this amazing story anyway, and there's some moments that like you have to do. Like for certain characters' backstories, learning about them, there are moments where you have to do, and they were done so well. Like, and even in interviews afterwards, they were like Oda was on set and he was like, we need to do it again. Like, it's not perfect. It has to be perfect because there's such important moments for the entire story.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, you could argue he's being anal about it, but it's his story.
That's the whole point.
It's been going for, like, almost 30 years, this manga.
Like,
it's
the
top
live action
ever.
adaptations like this, like live action adaptations of anime, similar to sort of live action TV adaptations of like and film adaptations of like video games. It's the same thing. You need a really good person behind the scenes to be like to look after the creative control and make sure it's good. Otherwise, you will end up with something really just naff and just clearly trying to make money as opposed to trying to make something good.
But that's what makes me happy. Is it's like it's not only just Oda obviously has passion for it, but it's clear that passion. Everyone, even the actors, the actress who plays the like Nami, who's the main female character, she was a massive fan anyway, and really like it shows that these people knew these characters beforehand. They knew of this story beforehand, and they're such perfectly cast. It's just it's so good. I love it so much.
That's great,
and I'm so excited for the second season when it comes out next year or the year after.
I don't know if I'll ever check it out, but I've heard good things about it, and it's taken it's been a bit like a cultural storm in the last couple of years. I've seen a lot more about it. I'd never heard of it before then, but my number 5, shock horror, another comedy. So my number 5 is Red Dwarf.
Oh, how did I forget it?
So for me, Red Dwarf is something that my dad introduced me to when I was quite a bit younger. And I just fell in love with it. It's like, okay, it's not got a massive budget, it's not got a massive cast, it's not got a massive setting, but the concept of it is so interesting to me. Like, I don't know what it is about it that just kind of just I don't know, that I just love it. Like, so for those who don't know, it's a sitcom, like with laugh track sitcom, set on a spaceship. A few million years in the future, and basically it's this mining company. They've got this big mining ship, this big bulky, just enormous like spaceship, and they take a crew from Earth and they go to like Jupiter. They do some like mining for like minerals and stuff, and then they come back to Earth and drop all that stuff off. And on the way back from Jupiter, the very first episode, one of the main characters, who is just like a bit of a bomb, he's like he's a scouser called Dave Lister, and he basically brings a cat on board. He smuggles like an alien cat on board, and it gets found out. He gets basically put into stasis as like a punishment. And then while he's in stasis, there's a nuclear reactor overload, and the entire crew is wiped out. And he wakes up 3 million years later when the AI computer lets him out. And he realizes everyone's dead, and the ship has gone completely off course, and it's in the middle of the universe somewhere, and he's 3 million years away from Earth, basically, on this enormous, enormous ship. And all he's left with is the hologram of his dead bunkmate, who is an arsehole and hates him. This AI computer, which has just gone deranged over 3 million years and is now not intelligent at all. And a creature that has evolved from his cat over millions of years into like a humanoid person who has the conscience of a cat, basically. And then eventually they pick up a robot called Crichton, who is also deranged. But the whole comedy, that is it. That the whole show is essentially that, and it's just what they get up to and what they encounter. But the dynamic and the dialogue is it's so good. Like, is it the best comedy of all time? No, but it's something that means a lot to me, and it's something that I will always be able to rewatch and always be able to like find like so much enjoyment out of. And it's still going. It's still going. They're still making more.
Is it?
Yeah, it was sort of stagnant. They didn't do any for like 10 years, 10, 15 years. They did like 8 seasons, and then they did like a film a few years later, and then a few years later, Dave bought the rights to it and then brought it back, and did like series 10, 11, and 12. And now they're doing specials basically every now and then, where it's like a 3-episode special. But yeah, it's brilliant. I'd really recommend it for those who are interested in sci-fi, for those who are interested in British comedy, and kind of would be interested to see how they do it together. It doesn't sound super appealing, but honestly, like, if you watch it and you get into the characters, it is a really good watch. And like, when I was a kid, I watched it and I was obsessed with the characters. But it's very much like, I don't know. I think it's one of those shows that I just don't think will ever age badly. I love the premise of it being just they're in the middle of the universe and they're 3 million years away from Earth, and the aim is to get back to Earth, but they never do, and well, once or twice, but there's lots of different sci-fi concepts that are explored, and lots of different ideas as well that are like really quite intelligent sci-fi concepts that are explored within the premise of like a sitcom. So there's this whole thing about like the Big Bang, for example, and then there's an episode where they go through this like wormhole or something, and they end up on Earth, but it's actually Earth that's going backwards in time. So it's like the idea is in their mind, in this sort of a weird science fiction thing, is the Big Bang starts the universe, it expands and expands and expands until it reaches its limit, and then this is called the Big Crunch, where it basically comes back and it just goes in reverse. So they're on this planet, which is just Earth, and everything's going in reverse. And they just use that as a staple to go, right, here's comedy for half an hour of everything going backwards. And they go to like a cafe, and there's a woman who's just got like a dirty plate, and she just goes, pulls like a treat out of her mouth and just like brings up like a whole drink. But they just use like concepts like that which don't make any sense, but they'll like do like your standard science fiction stuff and explore that and use that for like comedy, and that's not done very often. You see that a little bit with like the Orville now, but like that's very much like a parody of like Star Trek. This is like a completely original thing, and that world to me is fascinating. Like the near future Earth sending like mining ships on like out to Jupiter to get like minerals and stuff. It's cool. I like the concept of it.
I can't believe I didn't get that.
Have you ever watched it?
I've never watched it, but I know of it through you.
It's good.
I can't believe I didn't. I forgot about Red Dwarf.
Another one that's on BBC iPlayer, so anyone can watch it anytime. It is now, yeah. It didn't used to be all on there, because obviously Dave did series 10, 11, 12, but they've actually got the rights and it's all on iPlayer now. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. My number 4, as you right well guessed, is Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
I fucking knew it would be. I knew it would be.
I love this show so much. I love this show so much. I grew up with this show. We spoke about. I could probably briefly go past this. We've spoken about this before. I grew up with this show on Disney XD on Cartoon Network, and it's goated to put it simply.
Yeah,
it is unbelievable. Yeah, it has its arcs that aren't the best, but animation's great. Characters are great. Voice acting's fucking incredible. And then they cancelled it and then brought it back and somehow brought it back even better. They somehow they peaked at the end of this show.
Yeah.
Which is like, yes.
It makes me very happy that they did it like that. I think it's great, isn't it? I love, because I got into it way after, but I appreciate it so much more for that, because it's like, okay, yeah, it starts out as a kid's show and ends up being an adult show.
Oh, 100%.
They started out like a cartoon, but kind of like a bit jokey and a bit silly. And by the end, it's like, it's a serious drama, just in a different... It's just an animation instead of live action.
There's some dark arcs as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And more than anything, it makes the Star Wars prequel films better, doesn't it? I mean, really, it adds so much more depth to those characters and to the world building of it. And it just shows a testament to how brilliant George Lucas was in terms of the world building. Is you can hate the prequels, but the world that's built in that, the politics that are at play, allowed the Clone Wars to happen in the way that it did. And it opens up, it's like all that could have happened and more in these eras because of George Lucas's just genius world building. It's
also like the attention to detail, like the people who worked on it, like Dave Filoni, like they were so stuff that George said in these movies that were already well established. like the thing about Anakin and General Grievous meeting for the first time
Hmm.
in the movies, and they somehow for 7 seasons didn't have them meet once, which is like attention to detail, such a small detail. Like, but having that, like being able to write around that is so incredible.
Well, I've talked how much I love Star Wars continuity before, and that this is a perfect example of it. There, it's like they knew that, and then they went with it. And then they also do stuff. They make big bold decisions, like bringing back Darth Maul, and like how you can do stuff with that, and that becomes like a massive part of the show. How Palpatine's handled, how stuff like Mortis is handled, how like Qui-Gon Jinn's Force Ghost and making connections to the Force with Yoda. Love it. And then again,
Sam Witwer's Darth Maul.
So good.
Oh
and also just and the ending of Clone Wars.
God.
Those last 4 episodes are unbelievable. They take place at the same time as episode 3.
I've got the Lego set, which we've talked about. Literally to my right is of the Darth Maul Ahsoka fight. It's just so.
I love it. I love all of it.
So
I love
good.
How much passion and energy they put into it. And again, it's you successfully take that on to like that's why Rebels exist. That's why Bad Batch exists. That's why Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire exists. Like you can make all these Star Wars animated shows.
The animation style is so unique. Like it's called the Clone Wars animation style for a reason. Like it's
beautiful. It's really really good.
Yeah, so chef's kiss of a show.
Good shout for your number 4. My number 4, as Cooper has correctly predicted, would be Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, which I am lumping together. I am lumping them together because I can't separate them. 2 shows in the same universe. El Camino, I guess the film is included in this, but oh my god, what a show! You haven't seen it, have you?
I'm literally halfway through Breaking Bad.
Oh really? But you're watching Game of Thrones as well.
I'm watching Game of Thrones with my girlfriend. I'm watching Breaking Bad on my own.
Damn, that's crazy. I haven't talked to you about Breaking Bad. Where are you at?
We have spoke about Breaking Bad.
Have we?
Costco. Yeah. When I came to stay with you.
Oh my god.
Breaking Bad. Yeah.
Christ. Yeah. Where are you up to now?
Not that I've watched a lot of time, but I'm basically in like the point where Walter is cooking under the laundrette for Gus. There we go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm up to.
So for me, Breaking Bad is one of those shows that it's like everyone tells you it's one of the best shows of all time. It is. It just is. Like I thoroughly enjoy it. Better Call Saul is better.
I heard so many people say
in my opinion. Like I do think it is. I heard a lot of people say that, and when I finished Breaking Bad, I was like, there is no way that this show about this goofy ass side character is anywhere near as good and as layered as Breaking Bad. Oh my god, it is, and more. It is so good. And I think that's the thing is even with these 2 shows, you could compete them against each other, and they're both as good as each other, and they can one up each other in different aspects. They're very, very, very good. I adore Breaking Bad. I think the characters, I think the world building, I think just the way they progress from the point A to Z of Walter White's character, I think is fascinating. I'm trying not to spoil stuff, obviously, for people who haven't watched it and yourself, because it's worth watching without spoilers. It's worth not knowing anything.
So much, but
because when I watched it for the first time, I managed to avoid spoilers, and I was so happy I did, because there were so many things I was like, oh my god, it took me by so much surprise. I was like, I can't believe they just did that. And it's one of those shows, Breaking Bad. I binged both of these shows so hard. Like I love them so much that I just got addicted. Now, I'm a bit of a serial binger when it comes to TV shows. Like, when it comes to new TV shows that are already out and they're all there, I will watch a ridiculous amount of it. I remember I finished season 1 of Breaking Bad, or maybe it was season 2 of Breaking Bad, and I watched the last episode. I was like, I think it was when I was at uni. I was like, I've got to be in tomorrow, but it's 1 a.m. I should probably just watch 1 episode. Uni era. Couldn't do that anymore. And then I was like, I'll watch 1. I ended up watching like 4 episodes.
I've done that before.
Because I was like, I have to know what happens next. I can't go to bed until I know what happens. And then more questions keep coming up, and you're like, oh my god, there's just so much to it. And I think it's one of those shows, and Better Call Saul included in that. Absolutely incredible. I did not think they'd be able to top it, and it took them a little while. Like, I think it was Better Call Saul is great throughout the whole thing, don't get me wrong, but it took me a while to be like, this is as good, now better than Breaking Bad. By the time you get to the end of Better Call Saul, yeah, it's better, and it's so good. And if you've never watched it, do it, and watch Breaking Bad, then El Camino, and then Better Call Saul.
Then Better Call Saul.
That's how I'd do it. Order of release.
I think so, yeah.
Order of release, kind of. I think they started Better Call Saul before they did El Camino, but just watch El Camino because it's like an epilogue to Breaking Bad, and then Better Call Saul is absolutely as good, if not better, than Breaking Bad. So definitely
what I've seen of Breaking Bad is phenomenal. Like, it's unbelievable.
It's so good. It's so good. So yeah, that's my fourth place. What's your third, Cooper?
My third place is another E4 comedy that I've already mentioned today.
Oh,
The In-Betweeners is one of the greatest shows
I'm
ever.
surprised. I did not know that you like this show this much.
Honestly, I've probably out of all these shows on this list, I've probably watched this show the most.
Really?
I reckon I've watched this show about 4 times all the way through. Like, legit. Movies, 2 or 3 times each, maybe. This show, UK In-Betweeners, get that American shit out of here. Okay?
Yeah.
Get that shit off of my screen.
It's dog shit, yeah. I don't think anyone was expecting you to say the US In-Betweeners.
In-Betweeners, the UK In-Betweeners is so relatable. Like, it's scary how relatable it is at times.
It's
like, it's so fun. Like, I genuinely, this is the thing, I don't know where to start with this show. Like, honestly, if you live in the UK, you went to school, which I really hope you did go to school. just watch the In-Betweeners. Like, genuinely, there's a moment in it for everyone that is relatable. Like, you will relate. It's like sixth form, high school era. You will relate to it in some sense. The characters are so well written. Yes, it is awkward at times. Yes, you will want to rip your skin off at times because it's like so cringeworthy. It is like, but that's just the E4 comedy era, isn't it? What we've seen with Peep Show, but it's just so funny. Like, there's stuff, bus wankers. Everybody has heard of bus wankers. It comes from In-Betweeners.
Yeah.
Like, there's growing up, like going to school. Like, In-Betweeners was something you had to watch. There's so many jokes I make with my friends still to this day, still with so many people who are around my age that resonate and come from In-Betweeners. And it's like, it's one of those things where if you haven't watched it, me and my girlfriend watched it last time for the first year, and she was like, there are so many things that I've heard, like growing up, going to school, that I now understand because I've seen In-Betweeners.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's that kind of thing. The episodes you don't have to watch in order. Like, you could watch them completely random.
You know what? I haven't watched them in years. I have not watched In-Betweeners in years.
Honestly,
genuinely.
it's still so good. Like, to watch.
I just feel like I know it inside out. I just never went back to it. But I probably should, because I feel like I don't think I've actually watched it since I finished sixth form, which is crazy.
You forget so many. Like, there's so many famous episodes, like the Bus Wankers episode, the Caravan Club episode, which is one of my favorites. Like, there's so many famous ones, like when Will shits himself. But there's so many, like, those episodes you remember like one scene, whereas like everything else is so good. Like, the pilot as well is incredible.
Oh yeah, very very good, isn't it?
I just can't put into words like how much I love this show. And it's one of those shows that if it's on, I would happily sit and watch it. At 21 years old, like, it's
No, I do love In-Betweeners. It's very good. I need to rewatch it because it's been a long time. But yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's that E4, like the comedy, like the Channel 4 comedy. Like, there's so many good ones. Like, of that kind of era, like the 2000s.
Yeah, there's so many.
IT Crowd, which I mentioned before, is so good. IT Crowd's phenomenal.
I haven't watched it in a long time.
Yeah, but this thing, IT Crowd, I watched it again recently, and it's really good.
I love the IT Crowd. I've got the same problem with the IT Crowd that I have with Harry Potter, though, and it just so happens that it's written and created by someone who is an absolute raging transphobic piece of shit, and I cannot like stomach watching it. And I know it's like separate off from the artist. I know that. But I can't. I struggle to rewatch it. I don't deny it's a great show. Like, the Harry Potter films are great, and the books are solid. Like, the IT Crowd as a show is great, and I loved it growing up, and it's so quotable. I struggle now to watch it.
I didn't know that it was
Graham Linehan.
Really?
Who is, if you look into him nowadays, known more for I can't. As much as I liked the show, and if I rewatched it, I'd probably still really enjoy it. Like, I love, for example, like Matt Berry in that show is just unbelievably funny. He's so good, and that's just him. I struggle. You know, I think I find it quite hard to separate art from the artist when I despise the artist that much, and that's my sort of tricky level. There is, like, I really struggle to to do that when I have such strong feelings towards it. I like Harry Potter, right? But I hate J.K. Rowling so much that I struggle to want to watch Harry Potter or enjoy it or consume any of it.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one.
But in between,
but
is better.
Yeah.
So.
My number 3, we've already talked about this one, so I'm going to race over this one. It's Westworld, as you might have correctly.
I didn't mention
predicted.
Westworld because I knew you were going to mention it.
Okay.
I also haven't watched it all, so I can't make a full thing.
We need to do that. We need to get you to watch the final, or rewatch Westworld and then watch the final season, and we'll do it that way. We have to do that. I'd rewatch season 4 with you, 100%.
That'd be so good.
Coming soon, commentary checks. I love it. I think I've talked about it for like an hour on our previous Westworld episode 7 of Nostalgia Bait. Bloody hell, that was a while ago now.
Jesus.
Yeah, I love Westworld. It's a great show. It's a one that not many people have watched, not many people have even heard of. And it was kind of like HBO's next big thing after Game of Thrones, and it didn't really go very far. It kind of got hit bad by a pandemic and a big kind of shift in the writing style and the story. I think wasn't for everyone. But what I would say about Westworld is it's a really, really great show. Sci-fi drama, has some of the best twists I've ever seen in television. Some of the best writing I've ever seen in television. 100%, hands down. I don't know if you remember the ending of season 2 with Anthony Hopkins and Jeffrey Wright on the beach, and the final speech that Hopkins makes to him. One of my favorite moments in the show and just in TV. It just is beautiful. The music by Ramin Djawadi is just incredible as well. Like I just love this show. And look, I know it's not for everyone. I know season 3 and 4 are a little bit like contentious. Some people love it, some people really don't like it. I would say watch season 1 and 2 of Westworld, and that in itself is a closed piece. You can watch just those 2 seasons and absolutely love the show, and you've watched perfect television in those first 2 seasons, right? And if you liked it, then absolutely give season 3 and 4 a try. Because in my opinion, it does excel the story. You just have to have an open mind as to the different style of it, because season 3 is so different. Season 4 comes back to the norm a little bit of season 1 and 2, but it's still significantly different and takes the story in a completely new and different direction. But season 1 and 2, by itself...
Season 1 and 2 as a story,
so
like,
good.
A finished story, as like a finished piece, is like still... Like, they have some of my favourite moments in television. Like, literally,
I'm going to get you to rewatch it. I'm going to get you to rewatch it, and you will fall in love with it.
Season 1 and 2, season 1 and 2, I rewatched just before season 4 came out, which we've already spoke about. But still, it genuinely has some of my favourite sequences and moments from television. Mm-hmm. Even the first episode of the first season,
so good,
is phenomenal.
So good.
So good.
What is your number 2?
My number 2 is another American sitcom comedy.
Hang on. Go on. What is it going to be? Go on.
The Big Bang Theory. We've done it. We've got it. We got to walk off. We got to walk. We've done it. We've done it. Are you fucking
kidding me? The Big Bang Theory?
My terrible takes have got to walk off.
Is your second favourite TV show of all time?
Yes. He's done it.
What the fuck? What the fuck? I can't believe I'm sharing a podcast with someone who thinks that shit is actually in any way fucking entertaining. Oh, God.
I was watching Big Bang Theory last night.
Oh, God. My estimations of you could have dropped. I thought you were going to be like, oh, I knew you said something. You said something earlier. You were like, you might not like some of my list. And I was like, you know what? So far, we're doing pretty good. And then you hit me with that shit? Oh, fuck that. No. I hate that fucking show. It's the most... Oh, my God. Because my number 2 as well, spoiler alert, is a comedy. I cannot believe that this is your choice of...
Yeah.
Why didn't you put Friends here and Big Bang Theory in the honourable mentions? That would have been... Oh.
Because Big Bang Theory, for me, resonates more with me than what Friends does.
Fuck! Okay. Look, I'll give you a... Tell me. Because
I've rattled you. This is unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen you.
Really
I don't think I've
Really?
ever seen you so rattled by something I've ever said before. And I have some horrendous takes. It is no... It's no secret that I have some horrendous takes.
Look, there's some things I was happy to look past in like your films, in your whatever we did, video games. Yeah, fine, right? This was such a good ranking. I was like, fuck, you got some good ones today, and you hit me with that shit. Bazinga.
What issue do you have with Big Bang Theory? Bazinga.
I have, because it's so cringeworthy. It's just, for me, anyway, look, I'm not gonna like,
No,
I'm not gonna make you feel bad for it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I think of it, right? Having seen what I've seen, which admittedly is very little, so that's also part of it. I haven't seen much of it. But what I have seen, I think it's lowest common denominator American sitcom slop. That just, for me, is like mindless catchphrase humor that did absolutely nothing for the representation of like people who are fans of pop culture and nerds and stuff like that. I think it is just awful, and I just despise. I don't think any of the actors in it I've found funny. I've never seen them in anything else where I've been like, oh, they're good. I've literally never seen any of these actors in anything else where I've been like, this is great. I lie. The one fucking the guy who plays Sheldon, right? You know what else I've seen him in? Yeah, I've seen him in the Muppet movie where he's in that one Am I a Man or a Muppet song. He's in that one fucking scene, and you know what? Great. Phenomenal performance. The best I've ever seen him. I've not seen any of the other actors in anything else, so I can't judge them. I just know them from this, so that in my mind, it must be shit. I just don't like it. I really just resent it. I can't. It really grinds my gears. It's cringeworthy. It winds me up. I
love this. This is so good. I'm so happy. So,
tell me why you like it.
Do I think this show is better than Friends? No.
Why is it on here then? Why are we here, ladies and gentlemen?
Let me finish, okay?
I'll let you cook.
The title of this podcast is Nostalgia Bait, okay? Does nostalgia play a big factor in this? Yes. Do I still watch it to this day? Yes. Okay. Do I still enjoy it? Yes. Okay. Maybe it's. I'm not claiming that this is the greatest American sitcom of all time. Okay. I'm not saying it's the funniest show of all time, but my God, I love this show. Growing up as a kid who did physics and who also enjoyed all the stuff that the characters did, I found it, in some sense, relatable. Okay, growing up. Point one. Okay, not as much now because
valid.
Okay,
I'll give you that. That's valid.
I like it because as I've grown up and as I've watched it through the years, doing physics and stuff at uni and through A levels and stuff, I understand a lot more of what they're talking about, the stuff that's in the background, all the stuff like that. Okay. Point two.
Yeah, okay, I'm not really getting that one, but that's fine. That's fine.
I know this is just a general. This is just
that's fine. Yeah. Talk, okay? Point three.
It's one of those shows that it's like, yes, I know so many people think it's shit. So many people hate this show. Okay, like it is that sense. There's something about it for me that like, it's I again grew up watching it. I had the box set. I had everything, and I just can't put. It's one of the shows that, and I know I've said it for quite a lot of the shows, is I can watch this over, and I have watched it over and over and over again, and maybe I don't laugh as much as I do in Friends, but
there's a good reason for that.
I really enjoy the characters. I enjoy how the characters are written. I love Sheldon. Sheldon's such, I think, a well-written character over the 12 seasons, I think
Bazinga.
It is. 11, 12 seasons. Bazinga. But it's just, yeah, it's a very much a nostalgia show in here for me. I say that as I still watch it, but it's just, this is my comfort show. This is my true comfort show. This is the show that if I am down in the dumps, like, yes, Friends is good to watch, but if I'm going to boot up and watch one, I'm going to choose Big Bang Theory 9 times out of 10. That's it. There you go.
Okay. Fine. Thing is, you enjoy it. That's fine. I'm not gonna criticize your enjoyment of it because it's.
And I fully understand. Like,
yeah, I think I'm thinking. Obviously, and I'm looking at this like my list, and I'm like, these aren't the 5 best TV shows of all time. These are my favorite 5 TV shows.
Yeah.
So I'm taking that personally and being like, I can't believe that you'd waste a space on something that I think is that bad. But to you, it's different. You like it. That's fine. My number 2 is a comedy. And I don't know if it's a comfort show, but it is one that I've watched for years, and it's one that I will continue to watch and watch and watch and watch. It's a British comedy. What do you think it is? Because I don't think you've mentioned this one, and I think you'll kick yourself.
British comedy.
British. Yeah, it's Benidorm, second best show of all time. You'd have full right to criticise me for that. No, it's not Benidorm.
British comedy.
You've not mentioned it.
What is it?
My second favourite show of all time, I think I'd probably say, just due to the amount of times I could rewatch it, how quotable it is, how much it makes me laugh, and how much I would absolutely adore if they brought it back, but they never will, is The Thick of It.
Oh,
I absolutely love The Thick of It.
Oh my god, how did I not guess this for you?
Yeah, man. We watched it in the loop.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did watch. Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Quotable shows, honestly.
Have you seen The Thick of It then?
Again, it's one of those shows where I've seen a lot of it. Like I've never watched it all the way through.
Just watch season 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Don't watch season 1 and 2. Season 1 and 2, by the way, still excellent. Just putting that out there. That's why it's on this list. Brilliant show. But I think for mostly accessible comedy nowadays, season 1 and 2 is a lot more subtle and like niche.
Yeah.
Series 3 is fucking great. Series 4 is great. It's a political satire with a lot of improv in it, with some phenomenal cast members. I mean, Peter Capaldi
so
as a start point is just incredible in this show. And it just shows the state of British politics. And the thing is, there's a good reason why I'll never come back, and I understand that, is that politics has become a fucking joke now anyway in the UK. You know, we're at a point where, in the thick of it, you know, Malcolm Tucker, who's the party's spin doctor for the government, would be like screaming at people over something like a shit pun in a newspaper headline. Whereas nowadays the government get away with literal murder and, you know, nothing happens.
Just coming off the back of a general election.
Yeah, this is quite funny actually. Recording this only a few days after. But it's like the government and even the opposition are beyond the joke that The Thick of It portrays. The Thick of It portrays the era of pretty much the Tony Blair and Gordon Brown Labour government and the David Cameron Nick Clegg coalition. Is that right?
I asked the wrong person.
Okay, but basically, the Lib Dem Conservative coalition, basically kind of season 4-ish. It's not direct, doesn't tell you who the parties are in the show, but it basically gives you the ideas of left and right wing and opposition and power. And it is an interesting dynamic, and I absolutely love the show for what it does, because it takes the nature of politics and it turns it into this sort of thing where it's not like a direct comedy like a sitcom, but it just puts it's just, you see characters that are just stressed and anxious and shitting themselves and making a twat of themselves all the time. And I think that's super interesting. And again, it's a show that I can rewatch and rewatch and rewatch and quote and quote and quote and quote. Yeah. I do it all the time at work. It's brilliant. I love this show. And every time something political happens in the real world, there is always The Thick of It quote or scene for it. And I think that says numbers about modern politics and how The Thick of It gets it so on the money that there's always something. It's always something.
It's like one of those quotable shows. It's like what I was saying. The quotes are so good from that show.
It's incredible, and
I can't believe I didn't think of that for you.
It's so good. I love The Thick of It.
It's so long since I've even thought about The Thick of It.
It's such a good show. It's such a good show. I'll rewatch it like every year or something. I just absolutely adore it. It's so funny. It's so rewatchable. Season 3 and 4 especially are so good. I love it. I will never stop recommending how good this show is. It is so worth watching. Didn't
we watch, because remember that night when we watched the movie, the Thick of It movie, it's called In the Loop, did you say?
In the Loop, yeah.
In the Loop. I'm pretty sure we watched that, Alpha Papa.
Yeah.
Infinity War and Endgame.
I think we did. A quadruple bill of the Alan Partridge movie.
That's such a good
Alan Partridge movie, Thick of It movie, Infinity War and Endgame back to back.
The dichotomy of man. Really good. So
but yeah, I think that's That's my second place. So anyway, moving on to the final little stretch here of this very long podcast episode. What is your number one TV show of all time, Cooper?
We're going to put the Subway Surfers TikTok slime videos down the bottom here again for George.
Oh, no.
Because we're heading back to the anime zone.
Oh.
Where do I begin?
I'm trying to work out what
anime?
this is. Because this is the one I was trying to guess by.
To be fair, it's the other, like, one of the biggest. So, my number one is Naruto. I don't know
of course it is! Fuck, I should have known that. I should have known that.
You saw my birthday cake at my...
Yeah, I'm an idiot. I should have... I honestly... And was I guessing Attack on Titan? Fuck, you know.
Attack on Titan is up there, like, but yeah, that's for a different conversation. But Naruto is, I don't know where to start. Naruto is like that show that came about at the right time in my life. It was around like my GCSE. You know when you were saying that you would stay up all night watching like Breaking Bad. Well, I used to do this with Naruto. I remember being up to like 4 a.m. watching 20-minute episode, like 25-minute episodes of this show, and it's like, it's the where the fuck do I even begin with this show? It's like, it just has so much. I just have so much love for this show. Not even the show, this franchise, like leading on to the sequel, which is Boruto. But the Naruto show was, I used to watch so much anime, and it was, I wasn't going to watch it originally. It was recommended by a friend. He was like, "Oh, I think you'll enjoy this," and I was like, "Maybe I'll give it a go." I remember giving it a go at like an Easter holidays, and I binged watched the shit out of this show in one day. Like it's one of those shows where I've started it
in one day. How long is it?
I watched the whole thing one day.
Oh, right.
It's like 700 episodes in total. But like the first like the main chunk of it, the start of it, like the first arc of it, I haven't binge watching a day. Like, my God. And I was just, but it's I just couldn't put it down. It's like back to back to back, and it's like,
yeah. Do you not think that ruins it sometimes though? Like for me, I've just thrown this in there because we're talking about like binging shows and stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, like there was a new, because I had never seen Peaky Blinders, and there was a new season of that coming out. And I watched all of Peaky Blinders in a week.
Yeah.
And
I've done that
specifically the final day of that week, I watched 11 episodes.
Oh my! And now our episodes as well.
Yes.
Jesus Christ!
I literally spent the entire day non-stop, no break, watching Peaky Blinders, and it did ruin it. I mean, it's a great show, but I was like, was it worth it? No, not really.
There's very few. There's at the top of my head, there's 3 shows that I definitely binged. Naruto was one of them, but it's so long that it's like, I did take breaks because life intervened, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Like, the other one was Star Wars Rebels, which I watched in a week. In between the Mandalorian episodes during lockdown. The other one was Killing Eve. I started watching Killing Eve and absolutely caned. It was before the final season came out.
I watched the first season of that really quickly, and then I didn't.
The first
really
2,
watch
3
anymore.
seasons are great. Final season's awful of Killing Eve.
Oh really?
Just watch the first 3 seasons.
Oh, that's a shame.
It's great. But it's the yeah. Anyway, Naruto is the mix of, it's action, but I also love because the show that you watch at the start, yes, it's the same show you watch at the end, but it's so different. The characters are so different. You can see clear maturity over these characters. Like, there are each of the main characters has their issues. Naruto is a kid who grew up with no parents, who is hated by the entire village that he lives in, and he grows up to become this hero and savior and is loved by everyone. Sasuke is this edgy emo kid that thinks that his brother killed his entire family and his entire clan, and his whole story arc is he wants to get revenge. And then when he gets revenge, his life completely gets shaken up, and everything that he thought wasn't true. The power system, like they're supposed to be like ninjas, so that the power system is they have this thing called chakra, which is energy that they can control and manipulate, and it just has so much love. And the original, so there's an original one which is Naruto, which is like 200 and something episodes, and then the sequel Naruto Shippuden is 500 episodes. Not a single main character dies in the original of Naruto, and then you get like 50 episodes into the sequel, and it's like they kill off like a major character, and it becomes so left field. If you can watch a show without being spoiled as well, it becomes so left field. It's absolutely phenomenal. And it's one of those shows where they aren't afraid to kill off favourite characters. There's a fan favourite character who dies, and honestly, I remember watching it, and I was absolutely heartbroken. Like, bawling my eyes out. There's that. You find out like what happened to Naruto's parents. Like you find out their backstory. Broke my heart. Absolutely broke my heart. And even the finale as well. Like the father figure that Naruto has. Like they have such lovely moments throughout the entire show. It's such a heartfelt. It's so long. Like it's so long. But it's such a heartfelt show. And like I'm saying, it came like it came at such like the right point in my life. Like it took me like almost like swept me off my feet, and I just fell in love with it instantly. I watched it in probably like 6 months, like maybe less than that. But my love for the show is during that time I went away. I was on like a school trip for like 4 weeks. No Wi-Fi, no internet, no nothing. And the first thing I did when I got internet, we flew to. I went to Kenya. We flew to Abu Dhabi, then Kenya. And on the way back from Kenya to Abu Dhabi, the first thing I did in the airport was log into Wi-Fi and watch an episode of Naruto in the airport because I hadn't watched it in a month. And I was in like the middle of like the final part of the show.
Oh no!
And it was just I watched it all the way through my GCSEs. Like it was just such the right moment, and all through my room. Like maybe one day we'll do I'll pull out some stuff from like what you can kind of see in the background and stuff. And
I'd actually quite like to, because even though I've been to yours, but I can't remember. Yeah.
There's so much Naruto stuff like in the background and stuff, and I've got so many little things like headbands and stuff. But yeah, it's like I still see clips of it, and my phone case is Naruto. Yeah, this is Naruto. Like that. Yeah, like it's.
Yeah.
And I want to get tattoos. Like I've got tattoos planned that I'm going to get and stuff like that. Like it's just such a. It's not a comfort show because I don't watch it very often, but every few years I'll go back and watch like segments of it, like my favorite parts of it, and like you forget. It's one of those shows where you forget about it, but then you'll see like something, you'll be like, God, this show's just so good. Like it just has so many like nice memories with it, and I share it with friends who've watched it, and we all love it together. Like, yeah, and I've read like the sequel releases, the chapters for it release every month, and I watch it religiously every month without fail. I read it every month without fail, and it was completely finished. It started in 2002, so it was completely finished by the time I watched all of it, which is quite nice because I literally got to watch 700 episodes in one go. So, but yeah, it's unparalleled. Like anime for me is, I probably watch more anime in total than I have TV shows, but it just has such a it's such a.
It's for you though, isn't it? And it's not something I'll ever understand because it's not something I've ever really got into. Yeah. But I understand that like passion and that love and that interest, and it's the same thing that I've got with my number one slot, as you probably already know what that's going to be. It's like you have like an affinity to it, and you just like obsessed with it. Yeah,
it's fully like it is fully like I have this thing where like anime, like it doesn't cost much to watch anime. Like you can get the episodes relatively cheap. It's the aftermath that causes the issues. The amount of shit I have bought off the back of watching Naruto, like it's unhealthy. I own all of the volumes. I own 72 volumes of this book of the story. I've bought all of the volumes. Like it's so unhealthy the what it causes off the back end of it. And I think you're number one. You can definitely agree with. I was gonna say, I'm like
I have bought so much shit off the back of my number one.
Yeah, it's fully, but yeah, it's just such a love and a passion, and it's one of those things that I would love to have children in the future because I'd love to rewatch this show like and be with someone who's experienced it for the first time.
I feel like our number ones have the same sort of like emotion behind them.
I think it is. I think what your number what Naruto is for me, as much as I haven't known Naruto as much as you've known your number one. It's probably a similar thing, if that makes sense. Like it's the same passion and love.
100%.
And as much as it's not the best, like there's arguably better shows, and it's not. There are rough times. There's good times. There's bad times.
Yeah.
I'll stop rambling.
It's the same. It's the same thing. So it's good because it's transferable. Whatever I say about Doctor Who is going to be transferable to your experience with Naruto, and I think that's an interesting way you described that, and that I completely vouch for it. Like Doctor Who has been part of my life for pretty much my whole life. I first watched it when my first memory of the show was when I was 4 years old. And I remember seeing my dad watching it, and there was a Dalek flying up the stairs in Eccleston's first series, and I was like, this is terrifying, and I ran away, screaming, crying. I can only very barely remember that. And the first time I actually watched it was my dad got a box set for series 1 and 2, so the first 2 series of new Doctor Who had come out at that point. It was 2006, so I was 5 years old. and we binged it. We watched it together, and I fell in love with it. And by the end of that year, my dad had bought me a subscription to the Doctor Who Adventures magazine, and a few of the toys. And little did he know that was
hook, line, and sinker.
Hook, line, and sinker. Like, it's one thing watching a show, another getting the magazines and the toys.
Yeah.
And as soon as you discover that it exists, then it's over. Like, I didn't know that Doctor Who Adventures magazine was a thing until I got in the post, and I was like, oh my god, what is this? And my dad was like, it's a magazine, Doctor Who. And I was like, what? Like, and same with the toys, and you recreate the adventures, and there's just something about Doctor Who which is so like, I became obsessed with it. Yeah, I wasn't one of these kids who grew up with classic Who, the older stuff.
Yeah.
But I think there's a heritage to it. It's so important, I think, in our country, because it's such a cultural like heritage show. It's been around since 1963. It's been going for over 60 years, and it's still alive now. It's still alive and well. And it changes with the times. It's a show that has changed. It's not this. It's like unlike any other show. It's not like a reboot. It's not like a reinvention. The show has continued from day one. It's not like, any production team, any actors, any creatives behind it. Doesn't matter how much, everything changes. It is the same show. And you start from the beginning, and you're here now, and it's a completely different show, but it's the same. It's the same in principle. It's the same with stories. You're bringing back villains from the 70s. You're doing everything with that. It's no surprise that Doctor Who is my number one. Like, I love this show, and it's not perfect. It's cringe, and there is some shit episodes of it, like really poor naff episodes. And as a fan, it's like one of those things that I feel so passionately about what is good Doctor Who now, because it's took over so much of my life that I feel like I'm like, I know what's good and bad, but I don't. I enjoy what I enjoy. I don't enjoy what I don't enjoy. But look, I've got a YouTube channel where I talk about Doctor Who.
Wait, what?
It's be. Okay, that's quite funny.
It was too easy. It was too easy.
You sound like the people in the live streams now. Whenever I mention the podcast, they go, "Wait, George has got a pug? Holy shit! What?" So, yeah, for me, it's that thing. It's taken over so much of my life, and there's so many great memories I have from this show. So many great people I've met because of this show. So many friendships sort of created and blossomed from the love of this show. So many memories of just like buying things, unboxing things, reading things, listening to things. Doctor Who's available in any sort of format, and there's it's so like approachable from any angle, and I love that. It doesn't matter how good or bad the show gets. It doesn't matter how I'm still gonna watch it. But as long as they keep making Doctor Who until I'm like fucking 70, 80, I'm gonna still watch it. I'll still watch every episode because I love it that much, and it's been such a part of my life now that there's no way I'm giving it up. There was a point in time where, before I did YouTube on it, I got a bit sick of it, and then I got back into it as I started to do YouTube on it. And then sort of towards like the end of Jodie's era, I was kind of like, you know what, like there's a lot of stuff going on in my life, uni, work and stuff, and I'm like, you know what, there's a point where I'm like, I'm not enjoying this as much as I used to. I might just kind of like let it be for a bit and see what happens. And then just like that, a new series comes in, and I absolutely love it. And it's like, it just tells you that no matter what the highs and lows of the show are, no matter how naff or shit it might get, or how brilliant it might get, like I'm going to watch it. It's always going to be a part of my life. And because of its cultural and impact and its heritage, it will always be made in one format or another, whether it's audio drama or whether it's TV or whether it's video games or whether it's whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. Comics, books, like whatever. It's continuity doesn't even matter. You could just enjoy a Doctor Who story, and I think that's what's important about it, and that's what's sort of appealing about the show. It's an escape.
Yeah, 100%.
And I love that.
1000%. And I fully, I've been watching Doctor Who myself. It's I'm going to be honest, I didn't think Doctor Who's going to be your number one.
I think it has to be.
It's going to be lower down, yeah.
I think it has to be, because, it's not the best show on this list.
I'm glad it is.
It's not the best show out of the top 5. Objectively, it's not. But Doctor Who, to me, is so important in my life. So why would I put it anywhere else on this list? Why would I not put it number one? It kind of has to be. Like, it's had such an impact on me. So I think that's I guess where we wrap that up. Wow. We're gonna do Just News. We're gonna do a very quick Just News. I think.
did not expect this episode to be this long. I'm quite.
We have talked. Yeah.
So nice.
Good luck editing that one, Cooper.
Yeah, that's nice. It's been nice. Honestly,
yeah, it's been good to talk about it.
But even like now, it's like thinking at the end there. I have some in my head that I could have said, and it's so.
I'll think of some tonight, and I'll be like, "Oh, fuck, I should have mentioned that."
Yeah,
oh, God. It's so
good.
Yeah. Anyway, Just News.
It is time.
Just News. If you're not familiar, Christ, start watching more of our podcast. Jesus. Just News is a segment that we have at the end of every single episode on here, where one of us finds a funny news story and reads it out to the other. This week it's my turn to give a funny story to Cooper. Now, this one I might feel bad about after recording this, so we'll see. Because it's about someone dying.
Oh.
But it's someone who's famous because of a meme dying, and I think there's something to analyze about the meme itself. I hadn't heard of, and I did find very funny when I saw this article. But also the fact that they were talking about making news of going, this man who did this thing is dead now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this one embarrassing thing he did.
Okay.
So. Grandad who became a meme after eating paint thinking it was yogurt dies.
Doesn't die from the paint, did he?
That was my question, right? That's why I initially clicked on this article, because I was like, no. He did not
I know this meme. I know this photo.
I've never seen this. Bobby, the grandpa who became famous when his granddaughter posted a picture of him when he ate paint thinking it was yogurt, has passed away at the age of 92. I mean, rest in peace, Bobby.
First of all.
Yeah, first of all. But well done to the Mirror for just putting it out there. Let's see what loving tribute they have to say about this man's life. An elderly man who became a meme for eating paint thinking it was yogurt has died. The viral sensation known as paint-eating grandpa, that's creative, has passed away at 91. Right, well, he said 92 in the previous... Okay. Bobby gained internet fame in 2019 after his granddaughter Alex shared a picture of him mistakenly eating half a tub of paint. His granddaughter has now said that he has peacefully passed away in his sleep earlier this year. The news of Bobby's death was shared by his granddaughter on Instagram, where she posted an emotional statement along with a compilation of videos and photos of him. According to the statement, Bobby died in June, and his family and fans have been mourning his loss. The post also expressed gratitude for the support received from people all around the world. Bobby's granddaughter remembered him as someone who loved making people laugh and never minded being the centre of a joke. Her post read, "Today would have been Bobby's 92nd birthday. For those who don't know, he passed away peacefully in his sleep this June." And then it's got a photo. So you said you've seen this meme before.
I've seen this
haven't
photo
seen
before.
it. So there's just...
I've seen this before.
This is a confused old man with paint around his mouth. And like...
Can I be 100 before you continue?
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen this photo before. I really thought it was a woman. I did not realise it was It does say grandfather.
Your grandpa.
I thought it was a grandmother.
Oh.
I thought it was an old woman.
That's... I mean, for me, I'm more interested to do with the fact that they've eaten paint. But, I mean, fair play. I just don't know. I can kind of understand looking at it. The paint.
Happy, healthy. And
but I
get... It's got a spoon. I think they left the spoon there on purpose.
Yeah. It's just like they're just really horrible family members, and they're like, let's get Grandad to eat paint today.
It's not that big of a tub, or it's a big spoon.
It's a fucking only a spoonful.
Oh wait, it's almost a litre. What the?
Anyway, although he's missed tremendously, he really did live a long, healthy, happy, and fulfilling life as a doctor, musician, father, and grandfather. He loved nothing more than to make people laugh, so having the internet as his audience truly meant the world to him. Huge thanks to everyone who supported Bobby Boy over the years. I'm confident you guys will keep the legend alive. Well, that's what we're doing today on Nostalgia Bit. We've got a wholesome one, clearly. I had not heard of this, and I just thought it was funny, and I thought him eating paint was funny. Tributes have been pouring in. One comment in the statement reads... Rip Bobby the Goat. Core memory of me teen years was watching the videos of him being posted. Always made me laugh and smile. I was just thinking about him too. He definitely left his mark and he was loved so much. Thank you for all the laughs and smiles, Bobby. You'll never be forgotten, silly paint-eating old man. That's a bit fucking rude at the end there.
Silly paint-eating old man.
Sorry, you'll never be forgotten. Rest in peace, you fucking idiot.
Silly...
You fucking little... well done, you idiot. Oh, bless him. Retired psychiatrist, yogurt connoisseur, and your grandma's favourite meme. Oh.
So that was a cool bio, you know. Retired psychiatrist, yogurt connoisseur, and your grandma's favourite meme.
That's his Tinder bio.
It's like, why does the paint look? It looks so much like lipstick. Like it looks like some like a luminescent lipstick.
Fucking lipstick have you seen? I mean, that's crazy.
It looks like it's just like you'd wear it like a rave.
It looks like he's been eating fucking mint choc ice cream, man.
That's true as well.
Yeah, I just the image made me laugh, and initially I thought that he died from eating paint, and the mirror had been like, "Oh, what a cute story."
I hope he did die in his sleep, and it wasn't like a side effect of eating the paint. Like,
I don't think.
But the paint was like 5 years ago, though, wasn't it? So
maybe it's like Chernobyl. Maybe it's like nuclear paint, and it's just like slowly but surely.
By the color, it looks it.
I mean, yes,
it looks radioactive.
What are they painting?
I mean, I wouldn't paint my walls that color.
No, maybe it's a bathroom. Even still,
possibly.
It's like The Shining,
like
isn't
a feature wall.
The Shining bathroom, like green. God,
that weird green, like that weird mint.
Oh. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and listening to the latest episode of Nostalgia Bit. We talk about TV shows, a lot of fun. Let me know your favourite TV shows in the comments on YouTube, on Twitter, on TikTok, on any of our social medias. Yeah, let us know. We're interested to see. We want to see some more creative stuff. If your favourite show is The Big Bang Theory, keep your opinions to yourself. And
hell yeah, I'm going to get absolutely slated for this.
Can't wait.
Big Bang Theory.
And rightfully so.
I cannot wait.
If you're watching or listening on Spotify, obviously be sure to give us a follow. A lovely little 5-star rating will be very much appreciated as well. And we are now on YouTube with the Nostalgia Bit YouTube channel, where you can also watch our full-length video podcasts as well as shorts. And if you want to see shorts elsewhere, you can also look at our TikTok. We have a lovely little crossover of all those there that you can go and watch. Yeah. A lot of different things. Just search Nostalgia Bit with a social media name after it. I'm sure you'll find us. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Not going to take any more of your time because it's a long-ass episode. Thank you, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye.
See you next week. Bye-bye.